called coherence, which is one of the main principles that we will be implementing in the new city. You can please take your seats now. So what is this all about? Ma'Temp City is the first female-led smart city in Sierra Leone. It is regenerative, it is more than sustainable, it's about thriving, and it's underpinned by circularity. We have around 2,000 acres to play with, given to me by my ancestral matrilineal line. Now, I'm a broadcaster, so I do a lot of interviews with a lot of physicists and a lot of quantum physicists, and I asked them, is it possible to get to a type 1 civilization? Does anybody know anything about physics of the future? Ma'Temp Kaku? No? So only one here. Ma'Temp Kaku is a physicist, and you are able to look at physics from the past of what we have now and project the trend to the future and understand how innovations and inventions accelerate at a breathtaking speed. Now, a type 1 civilization is a planetary human existence where we're able to harness world energy. It's not going to happen until 100 years, 150 years. But my question was, could Ma'Temp City be the prototype? To be the beacon of light that shows how we can live in a type 1 world. So here's a definition of what a type 1 civilization is. A type 1 civilization, according to Ma'Temp Kaku, is one that has mastered planetary energy, communication, culture, and cooperation. So what it needs to have in a type 1 world uses renewable planetary energy, solar, geothermal, wind, and ocean. It needs to operate with global digital languages, economies, and ethics, and that means all of digital language in the world. It needs to merge scientific with spiritual worldviews. It also has no single hegemon nation, works as networks, not empires, and it maintains ecological equilibrium between people, nature, and machines. But most importantly, it has worldwide indigenous knowledge that would merge with Western high-end technology. Now, this means that the whole world would have to work as one, but we're not there yet. At the moment, human beings are only at 0.7, not type 1. And the reason is very obvious. These are the top 7 immediate threats that faces our world today. Conflict, war, and political instability, food insecurity and hunger, water scarcity, climate disasters, refugee displacement, gender-based violence is on the increase, even though homicide is on the decrease. Poverty and wealth inequalities, we're in deep doo-doo. So it's important for us to understand that it's not governments or policies that change ourselves, it is ourselves that change ourselves. The onus of burden to getting to that type 1 civilization for the future generations that have not even been born yet is on you, on each and every one of us. And if we don't, then we're on the brink of destruction. And that's very literal. We can see it now when we see all the wars in the Middle East, or for example in Gaza, or for example in Uganda, in Africa, in Sudan. In loads of different places, there is a lot of conflict. And we are being disbalanced, unprotected, and completely disconnected from our environment. So it's us, each and every one of us in this room, who has to make that change, because governments won't. So what is the solution? Let me introduce you to Ma'Temp City. Ma'Temp is a prototype. It's a planetary prototype which is completely off-grid, completely self-sustaining, and it is a trajectory to the type 1 civilization. What you see behind you is the actual land, 2,000 acres. It's almost you feel that you can't even or don't even want to build on it. But like we just heard at the beginning, we're going to have a lot of people living in Africa, in cities, in developed countries, in developed situations, areas. And so this means that we must develop. But how we develop is most importantly. environmental first, circularity, regenerative practices, biofeedbacks from the land, understanding education and healthcare. We must get to terms with all of this. So let's have a look at how we can get there according to my physicist and my quantum scientist. So Ma'Temp could actually become a planetary energy system, and there are 5 main indicators. Africa has the highest solar potential on Earth, yet uses the least of it. We know that Africa has high arable land. So being fully solar powered with local microgrids is a must. We have just bought 50 kilowatts of solar system right now, and in order to be completely off-grid and self-sustaining, we need 2 to 3 megawatts of solar systems. And we're actually doing that right now. Integrating biogas, hydro-mist, and waste-to-energy systems, we know that everything we do needs to be value-added. So right now we have literally just harvested our 2nd crop of rice. The husk doesn't go to waste, it gets turned into biofuel. And so therefore, by creating this circular system and closing the loop, we start to get to a type 1 civilization. Create energy sovereignty and export model across Africa. Ma'Temp City is actually being created as a blueprint, which MIT say it's an opportunity that cannot be missed. Because what happens with other cities is very difficult to retrofit high technology in a very built-up environment. But because we're starting from scratch, we can do something called leapfrogging, which I'll talk to you about. I always say that a city that shines on sunlight literally becomes a type 1 symbol of planetary energy mastery. And that's where we're going with Ma'Temp City. Number 2, ecological symbiosis. A type 1 civilization collaborates with nature. Agroforestry belts, urban permaculture systems, circular water economy, collection, filtration, reuse, rehydration. We have got water engineers who are actually implementing this for us now. This is really, really important because we know that there is going to be water scarcity by 2050. So we need to start to act now in order to create that rehydration system. Biophilic architecture, bioarchitecture, living buildings with plant facades and mycelium bricks, all of that is being planned by our architects right now in order to be that type 1 civilization. Now, Ma'Temp City could demonstrate what regenerative urbanism means right now, and that's what we're doing right now. Number 3, culture integration and the planetary mindset. A type 1 civilization needs a planetary culture, and Africa is uniquely positioned to synthesize diversity. Now, the continent of Africa has the most diverse cultures in any of the continents around the world. And it's important for us to be the leaders of inclusion. What does that look like? We're not there yet in Africa, but we can show what that looks like in Ma'Temp City. And that's exactly what we're doing. So we're positioning the city as a cultural hub of the new human story. We know that in South Africa that it's the cradle of humanity, and we know that every single hominid on this planet came from South Africa. In order to transition into a new human species, maybe human symbiosis, we are now creating a new human story where indigenous spiritual knowledge and technology merge. We're also creating an Institute for Planetary Studies, merging indigenous knowledge with quantum science, because as we know, indigenous knowledge has been marginalized for years, but it's had ancestral knowledge for millennia. In fact, there is something called Comcast from Google that can actually predict to a high degree of accuracy weather systems in about a day. But we know that indigenous knowledge from ancient times can actually predict it in a minute. So that indigenous knowledge that came from our ancestors, we pulled forth in terms of education and brought in to merge with science. We're reimagining and recreating architecture. So imagine this. People keep saying to me, wow, Naomi, that sounds like a Wakanda. I was like, no, Wakanda doesn't exist, but Ma'Temp City does. And the most important thing about this is that they say to me, what does the city actually look like? Is it going to look like that high-tech, impossible Afrofuturism? I say, imagine this. Can you imagine when there was the Great Zimbabwe, the Egyptian Empire, the Malian Empire, Songhai, all those wonderful empires that we had ancient time and time ago, a millennia ago, before the event of colonization and slavery. If we were to take the memory and the references of those buildings and we put them into an AI system and projected it to 200 years, that's the city that I want. Because it's Africa uninterrupted. It's Africa that has been built without the interruption of slavery or with colonization. And that question was, in the prompt, how would Africa look like if it hadn't been interrupted by the colonizers? So when you actually visit Ma'Temp City, it's like you're going to the past in order to be in the future. And this is Afrofuturism. Number 4, technological leapfrogging. This is probably the most exciting bit because unlike older industrial economies, Africa can skip carbon-heavy stages of development. We don't have to pull out very heavy water systems or gas systems or electric systems. We can skip to the future already with our technology. So adapting AI and blockchain for transparent governance and for fintech, use biometric ID for fair resources distribution, 3D print housing in our image instead of copying and pasting from a European lens. And bypassing 19th and 20th century industrial traps, Ma'Temp could model a clean trajectory into a type 1 technology. And finally, social evolution and collective consciousness. This is probably the most important part. For a type 1 transition to succeed, humanity must evolve ethically and emotionally as well as technologically, says Michio Kaku. Now, what does that actually mean? It means that our education has to change. We no longer can have a not fit for purpose education, which is European. So that gets all stripped out. And what we do is create an education that merges science, nature, and ancestral protocols. Schools are the future. In fact, what we're doing, we've already written the foundation stage, and it's pretty mind-boggling when I give it to scholars and academics. We establish community governance in circles guided by collective intelligence, and we recreate our healthcare systems where science meets natural plant medicine, coherence, and self-healing techniques. Bringing back all the ancestral plant medicines and bringing back all the techniques that we used to know that were marginalized or told they were witchcraft or savagery is now going to be the standard of African healthcare. Allow me to introduce you to Ma'Temp City.
Imagine a vibrant and innovative city that offers a unique blend of sustainability, technology, and economic growth. Welcome to Ma'Temp City, nestled in the heart of Sierra Leone and set against vast, fertile lands. This pioneering city is the first female-developed, gender-inclusive, smart city in the world, harnessing one of the most untapped intellectual resources known to man, women and girls. Ma'Temp is inclusively designed from the ground up, incorporating 100% renewable energy, smart accessibility, integrated and interconnected transportation, circular waste management systems, and state-of-the-art healthcare, social amenities, and fintech solutions. With its trad future architectural design, Ma'Temp City will feature environment-first business and housing districts coupled with a social impact and green bond framework. This provides investors with a unique opportunity that aligns with their environmental, social, and governance goals. Our city will not only be a beacon of future aspirations with a thriving and healthy community, but also promote 3 crucial groundbreaking hubs. The Educational Hub, creating new, fit-for-purpose, Afrocentric education to prepare young people for city custodianship. The Agricultural Hub, to research and develop highly nutritious future foods that have never been in mass cultivation, potentially solving the undernourishment crisis worldwide. And finally, the Innovation and Entrepreneurship Hub, providing a platform for citizens to transform their innovative ideas into successful businesses, creating job opportunities, economic growth, and sustainable development in the region. Ma'Temp City, join our community and live your legacy.
finally, why women-led and why now? Apart from all the things that we've heard today about why we need to empower women, the most important thing is about mitochondrial Eve. Anyone heard about the mitochondrial Eve gene? Mitochondrial Eve is our ancestral mother. Every single person on this earth came from this one woman who scientists call mitochondrial Eve. The importance of it is that everybody has those same mitochondrial DNA in their body, and that means memory. That means that we're able to tap into that memory and understand how we actually live with the ecosystems, how we live with the world, how we live with each other. What's remarkable about it is that there is no male DNA, mitochondrial DNA, in any person in this world, because at conception, the male mitochondrial DNA is actually destroyed. So everyone has the female mitochondrial DNA. This is female power. This is actually matrilineal memory in action, and we're all displaying it, male or female. If you have a female girl, she passes it on, just like Henrietta Lacks's cancer cells. If you have only boys, unfortunately, your mother's line stops right there. So it's important to really look at women, protect women, because without women, the world just does not exist anymore. So finally, our destiny is this. According to Michio Kaku, the destiny of our civilization is to become type 1, a planetary civilization that harnesses the energy of the earth itself. The only question is whether we will get there in time. It's all up to you. Thank you very much. My name's Naomi Sesay.